Well, hello everyone. I'm Darcy. I am abstinent and grateful. My abstinence date is January 15th, 2018. So I am on day 3008. And I am so thrilled to be here. This is my favorite meeting. And because of a change in schedule, I haven't been able to come for a long time. So I am thrilled to be back with you all. And thank you for welcoming me to and inviting me to qualify. I love qualifying because it deepens my abstinence as I reflect about what would be valuable to share. So I was talking to my sponsor this morning, and I said, I think I want to share and talk a little bit about traveling internationally, abstinently. What do you think? And she's like, yeah, do it. So I'm hoping that that's valuable and not too narrow of a qualification. Um, and so when I first got abstinent, I just assumed I would have to change the way I live, not only the way I eat. I figured I could either continue living like I was, eat what I want, drink what I want, and have a fun life, or I could be abstinent and have a really boring and disciplined life. Like, I didn't see that the two could coexist. I kind of just assumed that I couldn't go to restaurants or adventure travel or do things that I was used to doing. And so when I got abstinent in 2018, the first 2 years, I really didn't do any traveling at all because I was scared that I'd lose my abstinence. I mean, for the first year, I didn't even go to a restaurant. And then, of course, in 2020, COVID shut the world down, and so traveling wasn't an option anyway. So in the last 2 years, I decided it's time to expand my horizons and start to travel again. And so in the last 2 years, I've done 5 international trips. So Ghana, Cuba, Bali, Indonesia, Tasmania, Australia, and Germany, and some other areas in Germany. And so before I was abstinent, when I would travel, I had this belief that if that the only way I could get the full cultural experience was if I ate all the local food and drank all the local drinks. And of course, because I am an addict, um, I, as a result, over consumed all of those things. Um, and I'd come back from trips having gained a ton of weight and just feeling miserable. Um, and so now what's fascinating that I just didn't expect is that when I travel now, because I'm not, well, A, I'm not consumed with thoughts of food, but B, I'm not foggy brained from being high on food, and C, I'm not lethargic from having, eaten, overconsumed. And so I actually have the energy and the joy to truly take in the culture, not just what I was pretending or telling myself that culture is food. And of course, culture is food, and it's so much more. And so I thought what I would do is just share for each of those trips one struggle that I had on being abstinent, and then end my share, if I time it right, we'll see, Tara, with some of the lessons that I have learned through this process. So these are in no particular order. I was just taking notes as I was preparing. And I'm not going to tell the entire, there's lots of challenges, but I just figured I'd share one challenge that I encountered for each of these trips. So in Ghana, um, I had shared with the tour guide and the company I was going with that I had special meals, and she said, "Well, we'll do our best, but here's the things we eat here." And she identified, and I said, "Well, that's okay. I'll bring my food." She's like, "Oh, you can't bring your food. Don't do that. You'll get in trouble." So I talked to my sponsor. She's like, "Yep, you're going to bring your food. You won't get in trouble." And so when I got to the layover before my last leg to get to Ghana, I sent her a message in WhatsApp and said, I just want to let you know, I know you told me not to. I just want to tell you I have an entire carry-on filled with foods that I can eat. I don't expect you to be responsible. I don't expect you to do anything, but just in case I get in trouble, you'll have a night, you'll know what's going on. So when we got there, I was with my two daughters. Uh, there she comes and greets us, and she's with this really big guard in his uniform with a big old machine gun. And I said, "Oh, I've got my," and I started to unzip my suitcase to show her my what I won't say the names of foods here. And she says, don't, don't show your food." And I'm like, "Okay." And so we go and get through customs and we walk past all the places where they're checking the bags. Well, I find out later on the trip, which I didn't realize, that part of their culture, she had bribed him and she had paid him to help me get through to make sure there were no troubles, which was just fascinating. And so the challenge on that trip, we were actually going to a wedding, and I was in the wedding, and we got there at 9 in the morning to the home where it was a home at this beautiful home, and we had to have breakfast before we left. And they said we will have a beautiful spread buffet of food. We'll have plenty of food for everybody. Well, we got there at 9 in the morning. They meant for dinner. They had no food for lunch for anybody. So my daughters went all day until 7 p.m. without eating. Thankfully, because I had brought my food in and I had it with, I was able to have my abstinent lunch. And I just found a place off to the side. And as a matter of fact, one of the other bridesmaids was like, "Oh, I'm so jealous. Can I have some?" I'm like, "I'm so sorry. You can't." She totally understood. Um, so crisis averted there. Um, when I was traveling to Cuba, the same thing happened. I had shared with the tour company, and she said, my special dietary needs. And she's like, "Oh, I don't know if we can do that. Just Cuba has really short supply issues. Like they can't get a lot of things." And so I forwarded her email to my sponsor and I said, "This must just be a place that I'm not going to be able to travel to. No big deal." And my sponsor's like, "No, you can travel there. We're going to figure it out." And she's like, "You can travel anywhere as long as you're committed to your abstinence." I was like, "Oh my gosh." So did the same thing. I packed in my checked baggage, all sorts of dried foods that I had purchased online and at the grocery store, and then I had a carry-on filled as well. And there was one day when we were traveling, we had a group of about 12 women, and we had these classic cars there, maybe four or five of them. We were driving back from the rural village back to Havana. Should have been a 3-hour drive. One of the cars broke down, took several hours to get it fixed. We're in the middle of rural Cuba, and then they come across a little hut, like literally on the side of the road. There's fields and livestock where they're like, "Here, why don't you guys get lunch here?" I'm telling you, there was nothing abstinent at that little stand. I pull out my collapsible bowl. I pull out my cooler. I make my abstinent lunch. I'm sitting on top of the hood of the car eating, and there are other women are like, "Oh, that looks so good." Oh my, which is so interesting because I love my food, but I never thought anybody would feel like that looks so good because it's not, the foods we don't eat. But it was again another crisis averted. When I was in Bali, we did a 12-hour overnight hike up to the top of a volcano. So we got picked up at 9 p.m. and then drove to the bottom of the volcano. It was pitch black. We met our guide and we started hiking at 11 p.m. You're hiking in the pitch black with just a light headlamp, so that when you climb all the way up to the top, you get there at 6 a.m. when the sun is just coming up, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Um, this one was challenging, I will say, because it was a 6-hour hike up, And they had multiple stops along the way where everybody was, of course, eating and fueling. And I didn't have anything until we got to the top, and then I took out the breakfast that I had brought. And then we had a 5 hour hike back down. It was so intense and steep. And what I didn't do well there was I
Have
only,
5 minutes left, hon.
oh my God, thank you. My Camelback filled with water, and I didn't have any electrolytes, and I actually bonked. I mean, I was that come. I have never been that miserable coming on that was not good. I should have had electrolytes. Um, oh my God, that's time is going so fast. Tasmania, I will say, we went on a ferry to a trip 2 different times in the Great Barrier Reef. Both times they said we have a buffet. The first time it was amazing. I was able to get all my abstinent food. Second time they said, here's what's for lunch, and they had listed it out. I assumed it was a buffet. I got there and they hand us this little box. And of course, we eat, or I eat, a huge amount of food. And it was like a third, a fourth of what I needed. And I hadn't brought back up because I was like, well, it's going to be this huge buffet. So I had to wait and have my abstinent lunch when we got back from that boat ride. Just like stupid, some silly error. Um, and then Germany, well, we were traveling with my ex-husband and my daughters. He is on probation he's a registered sex offender. So when we got through customs, they pulled him aside and they're like, we need, if you're willing to let us go through all of your bags. He's like, yeah, no problem. So they pulled us in this back room and I'm like, shit. So they pull out my bag that's filled with all of our abstinent food, fresh not carbs, whatever. I'm not sure what I can say, but you know what we eat. And I was just like, oh my God, oh my God. And the officer comes over and she whispers, she's like, we have grocery stores here. We sell all of this. And I'm like, oh, I know, I know. And she's like, next time, leave it home. And I'm like, absolutely. She didn't confiscate it. I was amazed. And I had brought it all because we landed on a Sunday morning, and on Sundays, grocery stores are all closed in Germany. So real quick lessons learned. Always pack extra hostage meals, more than you think you'll need. Don't rely on airport food. Bring extra scales and batteries. When doing strenuous exercise while traveling, pack electrolytes instead of just water. There's fabulous abstinent electrolytes now. Um, order dried or individually wrapped protein and food that we can eat online that's packed individually, that it lasts longer. The bag salads are fabulous because they last a long time. You open them up one at a time. Communicate in advance special needs so there are no surprises. And also, I realize so that they don't take it personally, like that they aren't offended that I'm not eating their prepared special cultural food because I've prepared them in advance to know. Bring a smaller travel cooler. I have one with a strap that is just perfect that I can take for a day pack. So I usually will pack that to have with me. Um, I look to book rooms that have a refrigerator whenever possible. A microwave is bonus. Buy a collapsible travel bowl. I've got this huge bowl that collapses flat, and it has been with me, well, for 8 years since I bought it the year I got abstinent, and I love that thing. And then bring extra Ziploc bags and containers for leftovers. When there is a great buffet and it's abstinent, it's like, oh, yay, I'm going to grab some of this for my next meals. How'd I do, Tara? Am I good?
Yes, ma'am. You still have a minute and a half.
Oh, geez, I got all nervous when I the 5 minute warning. Well, I will just say then, the support of this community has been phenomenal. And as I have attended meetings and phone bridge and read online in the different Facebook groups, what I've realized is you really can do anything abstinently as long as you are committed if you plan and prepare and protect and pray ahead of time. And when I've gotten in trouble, um, because I have a strong community and a sponsor, there's always the ability to to reach out and then to learn and grow for next time. So I love traveling now abstinently. I'm clear-headed, I'm more present, I'm taking in the culture and the scenes and the experiences in a much deeper way than I was when I was foggy because I was so in the food. So thank you so much for letting me share. Maybe I've got 30 seconds. I'll share one more quick story. I just got back from Tasmania. I was there last month. As I was going on the video screens in the airplane, in the airplane, they've got all these videos about you cannot bring, and they're labeling all the foods and vegetables. You cannot bring, and I mean, it's more intense than anywhere I've ever been. And of course, I know, and my overhead suitcase is filled with stuff. You have to fill out a declaration form that you're not bringing anything. And I've talked to my sponsor many times. She's like, you're not going to jail. It's all for personal consumption. It's not illegal. I mean, if it's illegal, fine, but it's not unethical or immoral. I get to where I'm waiting for my bags at the carousel, and an officer comes up and he's like, ma'am, do you have anything, ask me if I have any. And I said, no, sir. Then as I'm walking out, they have dogs sniffing. Thank God there was a family with kids in front of me that the dog was like completely enamored with, and I just bolted around the outside as fast as I could and got through. So I have been blessed by the travel gods so far to be abstinent. All right, thank you.